Welcome along then to the last Formula One Grand Prix before the summer break, and what a Grand Prix it could be this afternoon. Round 13 of the Formula One season in 2022. It is the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's been won from pole 16 times out of the previous 36 races, and today features a brand new pole sitter in Formula One, George Russell, the 105th driver in F1 history to go and take pole position. Here's the track, 2.72 miles long. It dips down, it rises up, it goes through 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, and at stages you just can't put your steering wheel straight because the corners come at you thick and fast all the way from turn 6 to turn 11. It's a lap distance at full throttle for 65% of the lap, and it could be wet by the start as well. This was last year, 10-pin bowling, Valtteri Bottas style. It was like Skittles being knocked out of the way as Esteban Ocon picked her way through to go on and take victory. This is the last year's battle, Mick Schumacher and Max Verstappen. They were scrapping over the points, and it got a little bit rough and tough at times. That was Mick Schumacher's best moment of the season last year, he said. And this is Lewis Hamilton last year on Yuki Tsunoda going into the blind corner that is turn 4, and a brilliant move there from a man who has won here 8 times in the past. Now the tyres for this afternoon, hard is C2, medium is C3, soft is C4. Cooler conditions than it was on Friday, and the experts say that hard tyre might suffer in a track temperature that is round about 30 degrees down on the day they did their race simulations. Here's the grid then for the Hungarian Grand Prix this year, and Pierre Gasly will start from the pit lane after changing his power unit. Nicholas Latifi, fastest in FP3, slowest qualifier yesterday. Sebastian Vettel, for the first time since 2008, failed to reach Q3 here. He starts alongside Alexander Albon. And ahead of those, Yuki Tsunoda in 16th with Mick Schumacher in 15th for the 4th time this year. Lance Stroll qualified in Q2 for the first time in 8 races. He lines up alongside Kevin Magnussen. And ahead of these, Zhou Guanyu in 12th and Sergio Perez in 11th. Failed to reach Q3 here for the 7th time in his last 9 visits. Max Verstappen only 10th after an MGU-K problem in his Red Bull yesterday. Daniel Ricciardo starts 9th, and Valtteri Bottas starts 8th after getting into Q3 for the first time in 7 races. It's 7th for Lewis Hamilton, and the Alpines in the top 6 on the grid for the first time this season. Alonso 6th, Ocon 3 places higher than he won from last year. Charles Leclerc starts 3rd with Lando Norris keeping him company, Norris equaling his best start of the season, and Carlos Sainz, who out-qualified his teammate for the 3rd time this year, lines up on the front row alongside the pole sitter George Russell. Finally though, we are ready and everyone is lined up on the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go, and it's Russell ahead, going around the outside, Charles Leclerc. Russell's got the inside line, defends and cuts off Carlos Sainz as Lewis Hamilton goes wide and then comes back onto the track behind Lando Norris in 4th. And a virtual safety car, possibly for the debris that has come off the Williams of Alex Albon. So everything now gets neutralised.
They're talking of this a slippery surface in track sector 5. Probably that. I wondered actually, because when the rain comes, and this is a great chance sadly to pick up a puncture, they'll be wanting to pick their way through that.
Down good at the inside goes Max Verstappen on Esteban Ocon. There's Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon. We've seen one Red Bull pass an Alpine, and there's another Red Bull going past the Alpine. Perez puts himself up into 8th. Look how they can run so much more closely for so much longer during the course of this year. But Hamilton wants to be ahead of Lando Norris, and he gets the move done into that first turn. Lovely move there. Norris is going to be under pressure now from Verstappen, heading down into turn 2. Hamilton is pulling away. Verstappen's got ahead of Lando Norris, who didn't have the DRS. The 2 behind him did. An extra 16 kilometers an hour really helped and made all the difference. as Charles Leclerc stops. Leclerc inherited the lead of this race when George Russell made his stop. No one's really interested at Red Bull. Well, Adrian Newey and Christian Horner aren't in that Ferrari pit stop, 2.9 seconds. Russell comes now down towards turn 1 and ahead of Charles Leclerc. But here's crucial for Ferrari. Leclerc, by carrying on for a few more laps, is ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. We're only on lap 30 of this race so far. Make that lap 31 now as we start a new lap, and Leclerc is about a tenth of a second closer to George Russell, going into the DRS zone, and down he goes around the outside. Charles Leclerc. George Russell will try and fight that back, but with an extra helping of DRS, Charles Leclerc's got it covered. That was a brilliant move there from Charles Leclerc.
That's in the middle of the track.
Out there at the moment for Yuki Tsunoda to have a bit of a spin, just as Sergio Perez makes his way through the chicane and has to lift off a little bit. Still no retirements in this race, but Yuki Tsunoda coming closest to it by taking a spin at the chicane. Down at Red Bull for Max Verstappen to pit. He did come in on lap 16, so his second and what should be final pit stop on lap 39.
Yeah, it is the Monegasque who pits, and it is the hard tyre that he goes on to. Wow, that's brave based on how it's been going with everybody else. And George Russell pits as well onto the medium.
George Russell is now down in 6th place. This is looking very nice for Charles Leclerc as they go wheel to wheel, for Max Verstappen I should say. They go wheel to wheel. Verstappen goes a bit deep, but he makes that overtake stick. Max Verstappen is the fastest man on this track, and he's currently running... no! He's had a little spin, but that's Russell getting past Sergio Perez, but not...
He's a little bit wide. Oh, that's got to be water on the track or something, and that was just a lazy little loop.
I went on throttle and I just ran like inside Wilson.
DRS wide open for Max Verstappen once again. He is closer than he was on the previous lap to Charles Leclerc. Leclerc dives down the inside to cover off the Red Bull. In doing so, Max Verstappen now has a nice gap opening on the inside coming out of turn 1, and Verstappen is back ahead of Charles Leclerc. Oh, there's contact and spun around Lance Stroll by Daniel Ricciardo.
I gave him plenty of room.
We saw, mate. Get going, get going, get...
Hit me.
Yeah, we saw,
Check
mate.
damage.
Russell is so much closer this time around, coming off the final corner. He's gone wheel to wheel, he's gone ahead, but Leclerc is down the inside. And for one moment, it looked an awful lot more close than George Russell would have wanted as they went through that right-hander. But Russell is ahead now of Charles Leclerc.
All the stories are being written for tomorrow about Ferrari's strategy again. Look at that, he's fallen behind Hamilton and Perez.
As Mattia Binotto, not for the first time this season, walks off the pit wall.
These are the critical corners for Hamilton. We know if he comes up behind George Russell, he'll be obliged to move over quickly for him. You can't help but feel out front Verstappen's got enough speed and enough tyre.
Nearly got Carlos Sainz coming out of that final turn. He's going to get, I think, the Ferrari halfway down the straight here. Lewis Hamilton up into the podium places in this race once again. Down the straight we go once again. Hamilton closes in on Russell once again. Russell goes down the inside. Hamilton's going to have to go the long way round if he makes the move there, but it's the old switcheroo, isn't it? Russell goes a bit deeper. Hamilton gets him on the exit of turn 1.
What a great victory for Max Verstappen and Red Bull.
Led the 50th race of his career today, takes the 28th victory of his career. Max Verstappen from 10th on the grid comes home to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. And behind him, from 7th on the grid, Lewis Hamilton takes 2nd place. Behind him, the man who started on pole, George Russell, for yet another podium, the 1-2-3, as it was at Paul Ricard. It's time to head to a summer break, put our feet up, recharge batteries and come back ready for action at Spa. Ferrari were hoping to make inroads into Red Bull's advantage today. It didn't happen. They rather checked out. Red Bull maxed out. Verstappen taking victory in Hungary.
We changed the strategy, went on a soft, and then after that as well we remained calm, even with some little issues with the clutch and the upshifts as well, which we had to manage the whole race.
The first stint I struggled, I think with the medium tyre was not the right one to start the race on, particularly in those temperatures, so that was difficult, and it looked like I've overtaken a couple cars and they got stuck behind Lando, and then just couldn't get close. Then obviously Max was closing on me, then he undercut me, and I was thinking, damn, yeah, this is not great for the win, which I was hoping to try and catch up, but that second half really was able to turn it around. Balance was much better, and that last stint was epic.
It was a bit tricky at the beginning, and we pulled a big gap to the cars around, and I thought it was great, but unfortunately the rain kind of slowly stopped. The medium runners caught us up. We had to react and pit quite early, which was the right decision. But then it put us really on the back foot for that last stint when the rain came again on the very old medium tyres.
Today we had a bit of bad luck there in the pit stops because we definitely had a couple of slow ones. Particularly the first one was costly because I think we would have just got George with an overcut, which would have put me leader of the race at the time, which was a bit of a shame.
Very disappointed, obviously. The pace was really good on the medium tyres. Second stint also, everything was under control, and then we decided to stop on the hard, which I don't exactly know what are the reasons behind these decisions yet, but we'll speak with the team for me to understand, but clearly it was under the right decision, and I made it clear that I felt good on the medium, so I don't exactly know what happened.